And welcome back to another edition of Completely Unoriginal. I am Adam St. Paul, joined by Kurt Campbell, along with Tony Zur.
Hello.
As always, and it is a great day to be here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, how we doing today?
Pretty good.
Pretty groovy here, man.
And, not a ton of breaking news or anything like that, but we've seen a couple films. I've watched a review, and also we have one little nugget of news. If we don't touch on anything else, we'll continue, or if we don't touch on anything else, we'll just continue on with that.
I've got some stuff on my viewing list, too. I'll mention that. Maybe we can talk about it next week.
Okay, great. So we're going to start off, though, with movie news in regards to The Martian. I have seen it. Tony, you have seen it. I'll let you go first. Spoiler free. We warn spoiler free because Kurt has not seen it
Not yet.
So tell me, what were your thoughts?
I thought it was a really, really well done film. I was really worried that it was going to be like kind of boring and stuff like that because sometimes Ridley Scott's movies are kind of boring for me. But other than that, I mean, I really liked the soundtrack. And honestly, you guys being from a radio station and everything, I caught little hints of like almost Pink Floyd Division Bell type stuff in the background, and it was really nice. It really kind of helped with that space aspect and everything. But other than that, it was a really well done movie that was kind of like if Gravity and Castaway had a baby, it would be The Martian.
Yeah, I get that. That's kind of a good way to put it.
The only thing I can say is I haven't talked to anyone who's seen it who didn't like it. At least for the most part. I mean, I don't hear people saying bad things about it. Pardon me. All phlegmy all of a sudden.
And I'm not saying that it was a bad movie at all. I was just saying that that's just kind of how it felt for me. It had aspects of kind of the Castaway feel as well as aspects of Gravity and stuff.
So, my quick review, I loved it. It's as far as like smart cerebral sci-fi where there's not a ton of action and there's actually not a lot going on. It's a lot of discussion and a lot of science talk and things that like old science fiction. This is about as close as you're going to get to it in a modern day major release. Ridley Scott is completely back to form. It looks gorgeous. What I love about Ridley Scott, and he's always been excellent about this, and you might be able to chalk this up to his team as well, but this is based in the future, but not like 2099. You know what I'm saying, Kurt? And Tony?
The near future.
Yeah, it's the near future. So things look very similar and just have a slight difference to them. Like, it's subtle. The future is subtle in this universe, which I like. And the same with like Her, when that movie came out, the everything was kind of subtle how they changed things and the style and whatnot. So I really, really liked that. I thought that Matt Damon was great. It's hard not to cheer for his character. He's a very go-getter guy and I'm not going to die here kind of thing where he's really, really pushing the human spirit, as it were. And it was funny, Tony, and you can give me your thoughts on this if you want, Tony. You mentioned some Ridley Scott movies are boring. 100% agree with you. The most boring movie, I think, Ridley, and I never did see Exodus, Gods and Kings or whatever, but most boring Ridley Scott movie ever, Kingdom of Heaven. Have you ever seen that one?
I went to that in the theater, and that's one of the. I think there's a list of 3 movies that I've fallen asleep during, and it's that one, a civil action with John Travolta, and I fell asleep during Skyfall too.
Oh, that's sacrilege.
Well, I want to talk about Kingdom of Heaven first because spoiler alert in that movie if you haven't seen it. They bill Liam Neeson as like a star and he dies in the first 10 minutes. That actually happens, and I mean. You see the cover is Orlando Bloom coming off the Lord of the Rings, too, mind you. So action star. He did Troy, even though he played little bitch, no offense, in that one. But he come on
Pirates.
Yes, in Pirate. But I don't think he had done Pirates
okay.
yet. But at the same time, he was in all these action movies and stuff, and yes, Orlando Bloom, cool. He digs aqueducts and aquifers and talks to people with leprosy and never swings a sword. It's like, come on, Ridley, what are you doing? This is boring. Well, throw some terrible religion into this. Go, it'll be fun.
The thing about The Martian that I liked I went into it. My wife and I had a very in-depth discussion as to what kind of mental state you would be in after that long and that much grueling work you'd have to do on Mars by yourself and everything. And it didn't touch on that as much. I mean, he used a lot of humor just to kind of keep himself going, and that was more the direction that it went. But it didn't give me a lot more of that mental side that I really, really wanted to see. But it's not going to spoil anything, but during the end, it all pays off. There's one scene during the end where it's just kind of like, oh, okay.
And no one is criticizing the science for the most part. I mean, there are places you can poke holes in, but at the same time, yeah, it's a very well done movie. Really liked it. Glad to hear that you liked it as well, Tony. And I think that's a big recommend. Go see it for anyone who has not yet. And I don't know if you saw my post on Facebook, Tony, but I stole this from a friend of mine, Mike McGarry, who posted a meme and had a picture of Matt Damon in Saving Private Ryan, and I know I showed this to Kurt, a picture of Matt Damon in Interstellar, and a picture of Matt Damon in The Martian, and it just said, America has spent so much goddamn money trying to save Matt Damon. And that is basically the case. But now moving on here, and Kurt, you have not...
If you think about it, like Private Ryan, too, how much money did they waste going to get him?
Well, yeah, that's included.
That was included. Yeah, that was included.
Money and lives.
So now, Kurt, you can still talk because you have seen Age of Ultron.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't seen Age of
Ultron? No, I haven't yet.
Okay, well, then you can't really talk to Tony's review all that much. But, Tony, I got a bone to pick with you, and this isn't spoiling anything for Kurt. You claim that you want a more realistic comic book movie. You say that you like Man of Steel because it actually shows what happens when two superhumans go at it, mano a mano, Superman and Zod, and we see basically reenactions of September 11th, and it visualizes our worst fears of urban terrorism, to quote the honest trailer about that film. A comic book movie, a comic book is escapism. It is your chance to go and be free and not worry about not worry about the constructs of normal everyday life. You know why? We have this problem. Great. We'll science this experiment to make it fixed. It's that simple. It's that easy. Comic books are meant for that. When you get this loud noise machine that is Man of Steel and, Superman, who is the epitome of everything good in the United States and in humanity, destroying a city, killing literally millions or thousands of people, it just does not have the same whatever it is to it that one of those colorful, easy to digest Marvel movies have. They're not perfect, but I will watch one of those over Man of Steel any day.
Okay, here it is. That's not my fault. It's not my fault that the studios have put those out there and trying to make them set in more of the real world aspect of things. Even Marvel. That's what they are trying to do. So what I'm saying is that if you are going for something like that, and you're having all of this destruction and all of this chaos, you need to beef it up and show what's really going to happen instead of living in your little Disney world where no civilians ever get harmed. Okay?
Oh, shoot, we get to see superheroes saving people. That is so tough. Ouch.
Well, no, they can totally save people, but the whole aspect of them saving everybody, I'm sorry, man. I don't buy it, especially because the studios are trying to base these more in the real world.
Do you want in on this, Kurt?
I don't want to jump on anyone in this instance. I think you can have your cake and eat it too. I think it depends on the theme and the tone that you find in the comic as to how much realism you want in your film. For instance, Dark Knight. You want gritty, urban, real. Mm-hmm. You want in the Nolan Batman films. That's exactly what you want because that's what that incarnation of Batman needs to be to work. Because it needs to be about a tortured man and his struggles. When you get right down to the nitty gritty, the Avengers have never been an angst-heavy comic. So I can kind of see, and again, I haven't seen it, so I need to see the film before I can have an opinion as to who's right on this. but I just feel the tone of the source material informs the film.
Tony, let me hop in here quick before any rebuttal. I want to know, where did you ever get, and Kurt, please, you jump in too here, where did you ever get the idea that Marvel was going to try to, bring this into the real world? They have a god of thunder from an alternate dimension, and they have, a man that turns into a giant green monster, and also an invading army of Chitauri, I believe they were called. Point is, I've never heard once Marvel say that they want to base this in the real world. The DC, yes, because Nolan headed up Man of Steel, and that's what we got from Nolan, was a kind of realistic look at Superman, which you're right, if it was in the real world, that's what it would look like, but I don't want to ever imagine that now that I've seen that. I want the cartoon, but I just, where have you ever gotten that? I don't know if I've ever read that.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's where I'm taking that from. It's all trying to base it in the real world, and putting these people in the real world with, kind of like the X-Men thing, with, kind of, not mutants in this case, but people with special abilities and people, with abnormal abilities scattered about and everything like that. That's all tying it into the real world. Plus, you have to look at just the real world aspects of how they're making the films and everything.
Now, I watch S.H.I.E.L.D. I do watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm a fan of the show, and I agree that's how it started, but I think they're moving away from that because fans didn't seem interested in that flavor of show. It's become more fantastical with each progressive season, and this season I think is the best so far, and it's definitely the farthest from the original feel of the show. What do you think? Am I off base, or what do you think?
I agree that it is getting to be, a little bit more, set in that comic world and everything, and it's cool. It's just, you see that in the comics and everything. I have a few different comics where it's just like people get, it goes to a dark place, and a lot of these characters. That's what a lot of people don't like to see really, really good movies and not just packaged. Honestly. When Batman and Robin came out, I said to my dad, it just seems like they're just trying to sell a lot of toys with this. And that's how it's starting to feel with Marvel for me.
Now, this is where we can meet in the middle, okay, Tony? Because I think you're off base in regards to wanting Marvel, of all things, to get super dark and super gritty when the source material is not that. You know what happens when we try to go super dark and super gritty with source material that's not? We get the Fantastic Four new film. But what I will agree with you is that death in the Marvel Universe has never been final, and they need to start making it. They need to start making those things count. When Coulson dies, spoiler alert, sorry, I guess, in Avengers, the first one, you feel something, but then, he's back for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. When in the Winter Soldier, once again, spoiler alert, Samuel L. Jackson appears to be dead, and then it turns out that he's not, and they are afraid.
The Winter Soldier.
That's what I. Did I not say that?
Bucky Barnes, he died.
Well,
he's not dead.
But that's a little different though, because he's became a villain, and I think that he drives Cap to a different level because his friend is now an evil Hydra agent rather than just dead. But I get what you're saying. But my point is, that is something that, and I think they have taken legitimate criticism on that they're unwilling to really commit to anything a little greater than that. I guess, there is the one spot, and I'm not going to mention it, and don't mention his name, to Kurt from Age of Ultron, but there is one part there, but you don't care. You know what I mean? When you saw that movie, I guarantee you didn't care about that part.
Right. Exactly. I didn't care about that.
So would you agree with that? I guess I just want to say that I agree with you that Marvel needs to start sticking to their guns a little better when it comes to, making these a little more realistic in that respect.
Well, I mean, there is darkness in the comics, though. There is darkness in Marvel. There is a lot of internal turmoil with those characters in the comics and everything. And and I'm sure that you guys will agree. I think that we need to see some sexier superhero babes. You know, like there's like I said in my review for it, they all look like they shopped at like the Hillary Clinton pantsuit aisle at JCPenney. You know, I'm waiting for them to give us some babes.
Joss is very, very aware of sexism in his work, and I think that plays a lot. He doesn't stand for that. That's why Buffy wasn't a big chested dumb blonde, because he didn't want to be the sexist character creator in that sense. And that's why most of his women, I mean, well, I guess you'd say all the women he creates are super intelligent. And so I think maybe that's why you don't get the buxom superhero babes in his work, at least. I can't speak for the other Marvel films, but that's why his aren't that way.
Well, then he's a reverse sexist then, because honestly, like I said in my review, every single Marvel movie, Phase 1 and Phase 2, has featured a buff dude with his shirt off. In Captain America, they're like touching his pecs. Oh my gosh, that's the son. You know, and it's
that's because he's changed it's the change in his physicality. That's what that's all about.
But they're beef castles for the ladies.
But you can't say reverse sexism. That doesn't really wash, because men don't care.
Well, I think but you did say something. I gotta kind of agree with Tony here, Kurt. You said that Joss Whedon doesn't stand for sexism in the films and in whatever he writes. So, and you said this, all of his women are intelligent and all of his women are this. Just like not all men are ripped superheroes, not all women are intelligent, independent women.
And to be fair, I may have spoken a little off base, because, for instance, Cordelia Chase from Buffy and Angel, not the brightest bulb in the box. She's not all that bright. She's very conceited. So she's a real type of person. But when she's not the hero of the piece either, and you don't want a dumb hero in your film. You don't want an idiot running things. You want someone who's knows what they're doing. So.
Okay, well, to the outside world listening to this, please go and watch my tube review of Marvel's Avengers Age of Ultron. And Kurt, tonight, I would like you to go to the store and buy Marvel's Age of Ultron, and I would like you to watch that, and immediately following that, I would like you to watch my tube review, and then we would have a conversation further, because I explain all this in that.
If I had the time, I would. I'm afraid that's not going to make it onto my list of things to do tonight.
I wouldn't watch it. I just ripped it apart and told you how wrong Tony is on everything.
Well, I'm still
you don't need to watch it now.
I'm still going to watch it.
You don't need to watch
either of you think.
No, you don't need to watch it. I just told you everything.
I have a third
point
of view. I want to watch it. So there. So yeah, I'm not saying either one of you is right, because I haven't seen it yet, so I can't weigh in. I can only weigh in on the parts that I'm aware of.
Let's move on real quick, because we're kind of running out of time. The big news out of the Star Wars universe is that allegedly Michael B. Jordan has been cast to play Boba Fett in one of the standalone anthology Star Wars films. And I guess my first, and you guys please chime in after this, but my first opinion isn't that a continuity problem, seeing as that the actor who played the character in the prequels was Maori, native New Zealand?
Oh, I don't know.
He was.
There's
no denying that. And all of the clones then of Jango Fett were also Maori, not black. I guess that doesn't. It's not going to make or break anything, but I just don't understand why they're not going with continuity there.
I don't think they care to be have that kind of continuity with the episodes 1 through 3. I don't think anybody wants to be too closely connected to episodes 1 through 3.
And yeah, please go ahead, Tony.
Well, okay. So I don't know if you guys noticed this, and we're going to go back to our Anakin Skywalker discussion here, but I don't know if you guys noticed this, but in addition to adding Anakin Skywalker into the end of Jedi in the ways of Hayden Christensen, they also added the dude's voice that played Jango Fett into all of Boba Fett's lines. That is it's not the original Boba Fett anymore. They put his lines in there. They dubbed those in there. Same thing as Boba Fett's, but in his voice. So he is in there now as that is Boba Fett. It is the same. Well, it's his son. It's his clone and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they have already, dubbed Jango into there and into 5 and 6, and so he's he's Boba Fett, and it might be something to where, and I've heard kind of swaying rumors, and I don't think he has been cast. I think that they're just in talks to get him to do it. But what I think might be going on is there might be some sort of like a protege thing going on, or he this new character killed Boba Fett, took his gear, and went on to be Boba Fett. There might be like a Dread Pirate Roberts.
That'd be fine. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah, so
I would prefer that more than just casting Michael B. Jordan and saying, "Oh, we got Boba Fett," and then do you
exactly
show him?
Well, he's got to have a bunch of FaceTime.
I suppose.
They're casting a big name in there. He's got to have some FaceTime. And here's my thing: is that if they do just put him in there and say, "Oh, this is Boba Fett now," we are going to have that large population of Star Wars people who actually care about continuity, who they're gonna be upset in the same ways as if in Independence Day 2, we put in Colin Hanks for Will Smith's part and just say, "Oh, that's Stephen Hiller now." Same thing as if in the upcoming Star Wars films we put Tom Hanks in as Lando Calrissian. There'd be some discussions about that. You know, so I can see where if they do that, there's going to be some hell to pay.
I just think that I get what Star Wars is trying to do when it comes to distancing themselves from the prequels, but at the same time, I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to have my cake and eat it too, or I'm looking for controversy or something. But I think it's just by just going in and retconning everything without, if they want to go in and do all of these changes like that, where this is now Jango Fett, Hayden Christensen will not be involved in what have you, all this stuff. Why not just start all over? Why not just go in or go with like a side quest when it comes to the Star Wars universe? Go with some different characters no one's ever heard of and start your own universe then.
It could also be a situation like it would be with, you couldn't have Alec Guinness play Obi-Wan in the episodes 1 through 3 because he was dead, but you still want the character. Maybe this guy can't do it. Maybe he's not, maybe he's not. He has such a small role in the episodes 2 and 3, and he's hardly there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is such a non-entity other than oh, look, it's Boba Fett.
Well, I've always thought Boba Fett was pretty much a non-entity, but
I agree. I don't have the thing.
He created just through his mysteriousness and everything, a cult following kind of developed around him, and people just loved Boba Fett, Peter Griffin. I never risk the Fett man, but so I'm honestly I agree that it's not that big a deal. If you're just gonna go through and just change a bunch of things, then I just say start all over and just cast who you want.
I just think in his case he's in it so little that nobody's gonna care. Very few people will notice, and I don't see it causing an uproar at all. But that's me. I'm the old cantankerous guy here in the group, so we'll see what happens.
Well, and the thing is I saw like a comment online about it where somebody said, does this guy's acting experience really, make him deserve all these big roles that he's getting and stuff like that? And honestly, I had to think about that question for a second. I thought to myself, well, Boba Fett, it's not going to be, like this massive thing, because Boba Fett, it can only go so many different ways. And Boba Fett is just such a like you said, a mysterious character, and half of Star Wars fans just absolutely love him, and half of us are just kind of like, all right, well,
he's got a cool outfit.
Yeah, he's got a cool outfit and everything, and the legend of Boba Fett seems to be a lot greater than the character actually was in my book. So yeah, I think that his acting chops that he's had in his movies and stuff like that make him a perfect person to. It all just comes down to whether or not he does a good job.
I can't think of a good example because I'm not a big Michael B. Jordan fan, to be quite honest with you. But I'm trying to think of another person like this who Hollywood has like kind of
tried to force down your throat.
Yeah, kind of crowned as this guy, because people like Hollywood types love to talk about his ability and how he's just a star waiting to be made. So he gets a role in Fantastic Four that flops. He's now going to be Apollo Creed's son in the Rocky spinoff. He gets maybe to be, in a major tentpole Star Wars film. When really, I've never seen him do a lot to deserve that kind of cred. But that's just me.
I don't know. I'm not on the inside.
He was really good in Chronicle. I really, really liked Chronicle. And so I can see why people, all of a sudden it's a breakout star, because he was really good. They were all really good in that movie. And so I can see that. And I mean, honestly, those what is it called? Creed? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Creed?
Yep.
Yeah, that movie looks intense, man. It looks like he really did some, it looks like he's really going for it in that. So I don't know. It just kind of depends. We'll see how it goes.
We'll figure it out. Guys, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Completely Unoriginal. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. And for Kurt Campbell and Tony Zur, I'm Adam St. Paul. Until the next time.